In 2002, people, anonymous people, and definitely not this podcast host, were still downloading music from LimeWire. And everybody wanted the Nokia 3510.
You already know my name. And you can see that I'm a machine.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid.
Welcome to the Final Girls podcast. I'm Anna Bogutskaya, your podcast host. I'm a critic and the author of Feeding the Monster, and in this series of the Final Girls podcast, I'm journeying through the intersections of horror and technology, from man-made creatures to AI gone rogue villains. On this series, we're deep diving into machines. Every episode, I'm joined by a guest to discuss a film, or two, or in this episode, 7, and how it captures our fears and anxieties around technology and the place it holds in our lives. This week, we're discussing Resident Evil, the 2002 film that fused zombie horror with biotech and introduced one very vague but very evil corporation and one very iconic action heroine. Written and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson and loosely adapted from the video game series of the same name, Resident Evil transformed survival horror into a sleek early 2000s action flick, led by Milla Jovovich, who would go on to become one of the most enduring action stars of the 21st century, and the face of the whole billion-dollar Resident Evil franchise. Joining me this week is writer, actor, and friend of the show, Isaura Barbé-Brown. So if you haven't seen Resident Evil recently, or ever, do consider this your spoiler warning. Remember to subscribe and review the podcast if you enjoyed this episode or enjoy being chased around by hordes of zombies. And you can see what other films I'm going to be discussing over the next couple of months over on our Letterboxd page. If you want to drop me a line to tell me your Resident Evil ranking, you can do so at hello@finalgirls.co.uk. And if you want to support the podcast, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/thefinalgirls. And with all of that said, please enjoy our conversation about Resident Evil. Sarah, it's been a minute. How are you doing? How you been?
I've been fantastic. Missing talking with you about horror films, obviously. But otherwise, fantastic.
I've missed it too. And we're here now.
We are.
We're doing the film or the films that you requested. And before we get into it, I just want to ask you, do you remember the first piece of technology that you owned or you felt like you owned?
Yes, this is actually a really rude question because it's going to immediately age me. Because it was like a Walkman, but like a tape one.
Yeah.
Like a portable cassette
the ones
tape.
that they now sell in Urban Outfitters for like £50? Yeah.
That was the first bit of tech I owned. And the first tape I bought was Bewitched, C'est la vie. The single on tape. That was the...
I've never heard the song.
You've never heard the song by the Irish girl band Bewitched?
I have not. I'm going to have to edit it into this. Wait, hold on. Let me listen to it. Okay. I'm looking. Oh, wow. There is a lot of Technicolor airbrushing going on here.
They're on a roller coaster. It's a great song.
Excellent.
You know, say you will, say you won't. You know, c'est la vie.
Excellent.
It's a good mantra for life.
Found the soundtrack for this series.
It went platinum in my personal Walkman. So yeah, the second tape was Mariah Carey Once, which is slightly better.
Listen, you've got range. We knew that already.
Just all the girls, you know, just always a fan of the girls.
Tell me then about why you wanted to do Resident Evil. Because the way, for the listeners, some behind the scenes, I send through this list to people, to my contributors, and they can pick whatever film that they want to do. And some people beeline straight for some episodes. Why did you want to talk about Resident Evil? What's your relationship with these films and the games?
So I'm not a computer game girly, but my brother is a computer game girly. And so I always so before Twitch streaming or whatever they call it, the kids call it these days, I would just be over my brother's shoulder watching him play games. I was the original YouTube streamer person. I was just there watching someone else play a computer game. And I loved his horror one, so I'd watch him play Doom. I watch him play this. I watch him play Fallout, all this stuff. Probably not Fallout at that point, but I didn't know really what was happening. I just knew bits were scary. And then I watched it for the first time on a bootleg DVD.
Ooh, yes.
And it really stuck with me. I just thought it was so cool. It's just cool. And I was just this is... And obviously it was a woman lead. And I was she's cool. I want her dress. I wanted her sensible black boot. I was just fully in. I can recall, I didn't realize how burned into my brain, so many of the scenes are. Okay. I can recall them exactly. I'm calling it, I just these cool women, and I loved it. And just so you know, you didn't say I had to watch all the films.
I did not. I have not.
But I did. So in the last 2 days, my brain is fully Resident Evil right now. I think in Resident Evil. I'm dreaming about Resident Evil.
Wow.
No one prompted me. I was I'm just going to keep watching them, I guess. And then I was should I watch the next one? Yeah. And literally, how many films are there? 6?
For the record, I did not and would never ask you to watch 6 Resident Evil films for a podcast. Actually
7, I think, because I watched a new one too.
Oh my god. Okay.
So
I'm going to throw out all my questions. Forget about the stuff I sent to. I'm going to do something completely different. But wow. Are you okay?
No.
Okay.
It's just been the soundtrack to my life for 2 days. And again, no one, not by force. I just kept playing them.
I just want that on the record. Not by force.
I just kept being it would be silly not to watch the next one. That's all I kept doing.
So, oh my god, I have so many questions. Okay. What is your mental state after imbibing 7 Resident Evil films?
Full brain rot.
Okay.
I have, that kind of bassline rock music they have for most of them.
Yes.
Yeah. I have that kind of playing in my head. That's just happening all the time.
Are you now really into Chrome?
Yeah, I have so many outfit ideas. I also have the song Ask Alice in my head because that plays, a really cool cover of it plays at one of the end of the films. I know exactly how to kick a dog in the face if it ever attacks me.
Listen, that's helpful.
It's really helpful. There's lots of helpful stuff in there. Yeah.
Okay, so there's something you mentioned in the beginning that I think you've articulated something that I was thinking when I was watching this film, and I'm looking at the poster right now. The poster for the original film, which, for the record, was the only one I planned to discuss this episode. I watched the first 2, the second one just like an extra
You said, it says Resident Evil 2002 plus franchise. I took that plus franchise very seriously. I am nothing if not a consummate professional. I was how could I possibly talk about the franchise without watching them all?
Listen, we could have a whole hour-long conversation about Milla Jovovich's outfit changes throughout the franchise. Oh my God, I do have thoughts on that. Mm-hmm. But you said that you remember this film, that it made an impression because it was so cool. And I'm looking at the poster now, and I rewatched it, and I do remember suddenly, the poster was everywhere. Again, aging myself. This is when I was a teenager. And Milla Jovovich was, everywhere. She was... But there is such an early 2000s new metal style coolness to it, which is, in retrospect, not cool at all. What made Resident Evil feel cool at that time? And has any of that remained cool for you?
I think it was a lead female actress, like a lead, like just a powerful. Also, I want to say that Milla Jovovich is like queen of waking up naked and disoriented.
Dude, I made the same notes. I'm like, she's always waking up naked and confused.
Yeah, she's like, I'm woken up, I'm naked, I'm a superhero for some reason, and I don't know what's going on, is like just her bag, apparently.
Yeah.
She's like figures stuff out quicker, even though she's like kind of more of she's quite emotional in the first one, right? She's really confused. She's quite caring of the people. She grows quite an attachment to them quickly, and is quite protective of them, but she's still a badass. And she's figuring stuff out, and she's like making decisions really quickly. I just love that. And then the coolest thing, I remember my distinct feeling, the thing that I thought was the coolest thing when I first saw it, that stuck in my mind the most, was the laser corridor.
Oh, that was excellent.
Yeah. So I just remember being like, oh man, this is like actually really, because you think they're going to beat it. And everything I think I've seen to that point told me that, you know, a couple of them will survive and they'll figure out how to beat the thing. And it's like, no. Like, Michelle Rodriguez gets bitten so many times. It's actually kind of cool. I was like, this girl cannot not get bit. Like, gets bitten so many times. And I was like, oh, hun, you need to watch that. Like, you're getting like eaten up. And you, like, I don't know, you have not figured out to keep your like limbs away from the mouths yet. But I just, and even Michelle, like, it was this cool team. You didn't really know what was going on, and you were finding out as she's finding out what's going on. Her outfit was cool. Her dress was so cool. I'd never seen anything like it.
I mean, this is the most early 2000s outfit I can imagine for an action heroine, because Michelle Rodriguez is a mercenary, so she's like decked out in like leather and a waistcoat and has little like leather wristband things. I also had one of those in 2002. She's there to do a job. Milla Jovovich wakes up confused and naked and then tries to remember who she is and why she can fight very well. And she has this asymmetrical red dress, no bra.
Right.
Which would not recommend in an action film.
No.
Really. Short shorts, but then very sensible leather boots. I'm like, this outfit makes no sense. It's literally stuff that's like, oh, I just picked up this random shit in the house where I found myself waking up naked.
It's like funny that she's like, I'll put this dress on. I guess these boots would be, these go. And you're like, okay.
This goes together.
It's bizarre, but I loved it because you know what? Because it's not overtly sexy. It was like a nice dress, but it wasn't like, look at how hot this girl is. Like in an overtly like, this is this action star. I'm not going to like soak her in water at some point for no reason. It was just what she had, and then she still fights really well in it. And I think the sensible black boot is what ties that together.
I mean, I would slightly disagree that like no matter what she does or what she's dressed in, Milla Jovovich is so unabashedly gorgeous that you're just like, well, you just can't help it.
But you could put her in a sack, yeah.
Yeah,
but,
you could put her in anything. The thing that made it so early 2000s cool is the chrome, the red, and the shiny bits, right? It's like everything is just polished. All the tech, all the elevators, all the computers, everything. But then there's like this low-key element to the way that they're dressed and styled. And the sensible boot, which is also very popular in the Underworld franchise and in every other action movie where a female lead is featured, that has remained. And I'm happy for that. Because you know what? You're not going to kick zombies' ass or vampires' ass in a kitten heel. You need a chunky boot. Maybe a chunky heel.
In Retribution, they give her a little heel boot, and you can it takes away from the film. I notice it so much because she has a little wedged heel boot, and I was like, I hate this. I can see her like not walking as fast. They also have Michelle Rodriguez in like proper like stilettos at one point because she's like two different people kind of in that one, and it's like, why is she just randomly wearing heels? Like the first one would never have done this. And I think they kind of, and then it went back for her final chapter. But I was like, this was a mistake. They tried to make it slightly sexier. And actually, we don't need heels to make any of these women sexier. Like, it's fine. We're all good.
I don't think Resident Evil needs to be sexy. I think
No.
once it tries to go like, oh, look, it's just women in leather kind of like
Right.
kicking about, it loses its shit.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, it does.
So let's set the scene a little bit, because this film is 2002. And the 2000s are genuinely regarded as a low point for horror.
Right.
Where do you stand? What do you think the landscape is for horror in that time period when this film comes out?
Well, it's funny because I have a soft spot for that time in horror.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like things were either really good or really terrible. But both fun. Because like in the early 2000s, what we had like Cherry Falls, which I remember the one where the teenagers wanted to lose their virginity.
Very
right?
good. Very good.
Very
slasher.
good. Ginger Snaps, wasn't that in there?
Excellent. That was the year 2000.
Exactly. Hollow Man, which I actually really loved. I watched that
You
a lot
love
when I was
Hollow
young.
Man?
Yeah, I watched it a lot when I was younger.
Oh, we did Hollow Man last week in the series, and let me tell you, it does not age well.
I have not watched it recently.
I think you should maybe watch it recently. I think you might change your mind, friend. It ain't good. It really hates women. It's like, ever heard of women?
For
Fuck
sure.
them.
Yeah, which is why I'm so glad that like the new Invisible Man kind
that's
of
amazing.
addressed that. Yeah, because I was just like, yeah, it's really creepy. The first one, I remember Hollow Man being definitely creepy. Jeepers Creepers, was that in the early 2000s?
Yeah, isn't that the one that was made by a literal pedophile?
Yeah. With Justin Long.
Yes.
And it was like one of those films that's really annoying because like none of this needed to happen. Just mind your business.
Yeah.
Like,
There was The Cell, which I have a soft spot for.
oh yes.
There was The Ring, the remake from 2002.
Was 28 Days Later then?
It's 2002. That was one of the other big zombie films.
Yes. And then Cabin Fever.
Yes.
Which is the one where I remember that film because I'm going to say something disgusting, where he fingers like the gash in her leg and doesn't realize, and that scarred me maybe for life. Because I was like, oh my God. Genuinely, probably one of the most horrifying things. I was like, I don't even remember what happened in the rest of the film because I was just like,
Oh my God.
who wrote this down in a script? Who did this?
There's The Devil's Backbone, which I really love,
Oh,
which was
yes.
one of Guillermo del Toro's early films from 2001. Oh, and there's a couple of like gothic-y, more kind of ghosty films, which I have a really soft spot for and will one day cover on this show. What Lies Beneath with Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer.
I love that film, yes.
Oh my God. When we do it, you're in. We're doing it together.
Because I love that film.
Me too.
And also, was it when Dog Soldiers came out in 2002, which I also loved, and was the first scary movie around this time?
Oh my God. Yes, it was. It was the year 2000.
So it was like a weird, because it was the first time like they also started satirizing in a very specific way, especially teen films.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good list.
Do you know what? I framed this as like, was it a bad time for horror? And we've answered it. It was a great time for horror.
It was a great time.
Yeah.
I was having a wonderful time. I just felt like everything was quite gritty and quite like, I don't know.
It was very like, okay, so I'm looking at a list of posters of horror films from the early 2000s. And once again, I come back with some few exceptions, like Session 9, What Lies Beneath, which are much more classic-y, kind of gothic ghost stories, and a lot of less teen horror movies. But there's a lot of sci-fi. There's a lot of Chrome. There's a lot of sci-fi horror. There's Pitch Black. There's Sunshine, which I have a soft spot for, the Danny Boyle film. Like, things like The Cell and 20 Days Later.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much, or Creep from 2004.
Yes.
The Cell even, which we mentioned. Like, all of these are either really kind of rotted metal vibes, you know, like this brown, sort of decrepit, rusted appeal, or really shiny, slick Chrome vibe.
Right.
Which is where Resident Evil falls in, I think.
Yeah, and I wonder if because, we just survived Y2K.
Yeah, the microwaves tried to kill us.
That we were all so terrified of. I was like, your computer's going to freak out, the plane's going to fall out the sky. So I feel like it was like a very specific time, because I feel like people were just like, what way is it going to go? Like, I don't think anyone really thought, well, I'm sure there are some people, but I think most people didn't think anything terrible would happen. But I think there was a feeling of like, will technology be a bit weird? Also, it was this threshold of like a new millennium, like, which it feels odd to live through. It feels like something should be new. Like, this is the time in films, like back in the day, when they were saying we're going to have flying cars and jetpacks, and so I think this idea of like, oh, actually, like either it's trying to kill us or it's like fetid is like quite interesting, because it's just like, oh, none of that's happening. All that future stuff we thought, it's either going to be really scary or it's just going to like, we're just going to go back to being like fucking animals.
I think what's really funny as well is looking at these films, and because when we think about sort of cyberpunk and kind of tech horror films, particularly the Hollywood ones, it's always the 80s and the 90s when people were just imagining what the internet might be like and how it could be a demon or a ghost or a serial killer or whatever. And it was all these like, what will the interweb look like? It's this, you know, journey through cyberspace. And then once computers became every day and Y2K happened, which is very funny in retrospect, but it almost feels like these films, and I think Resident Evil is probably one of the best examples of it, partly because it's so mainstream and it became so huge despite everything about it, that it has this element of coolness where it's like everything has been sanded off. It's not really dire, it's not really dour either. It's sort of like it's trying to play it cool by being super slick, and everything is just very corporate. It's like corporate meets new metal in a way that feels so of its era. And I don't know, I have not watched all 7 films in 48 hours like you have. Wow. But my impression and my vague memory of the franchise ones, even just looking at it just stylistically and superficially, you see that they all went down this like almost underworldy vibe of like leather and fetishizing of Alice and Milla Jovovich as the center point and this massive action star, and you just want to see her like kick some ass throughout the films. But the first one, when it wasn't so much about that yet, it is so of the time of like, we've made cyberpunk cool and slick again, and the way we've made it cool is by being like really casual with our outfits and really spotless with our technology. Like everything feels brand new out of the box.
And I think what makes the first one so good is that there's this clean line of like, this is a thing we have to do. We are going in to do this thing. And then once we've done that thing, this is the issue that's popped up. And now we have this other thing to do. So it's like very straightforward, right? Yes, there are character details and we find out little bits of history and detail and stuff. But the goal never really changes, and the drive towards that goal is quite consistent. So there's not really time to get bored. You're never really lagging anywhere. It's like they are always trying to get somewhere. And that's really helpful. And I think the things that you know are going to happen, like when people get bitten and when they're going to turn, they don't wait too long for that to happen. And it's an element that's going on throughout that is quite good payoffs, I think. And they're quite good with you think this person survived. Oh, no, they haven't. Sorry. Like they're really good with that. They do that a few times, the old bait and switch. But like, but I think it was quite pacey. And it never really stopped the characters from driving towards their goal. They don't really have points of just sitting and chatting or waiting for anything.
I think that's really well framed, because some might say that that is poor character development, and they would be right. And others might say that it's just a film knowing exactly what it is and what it needs to deliver, which is a handful of hot people with a mission in a place.
Exactly.
They're there to do a job and not to make friends.
This is what we need. We just need some ass-kicking stuff. Yes, we need some character stuff. And I actually think the first film does quite well with making the characters quite distinct. Like, I remember those characters more than I do most of the other ones, even ones that are more prominent throughout the rest of the series, because they feel like very specific people. Yes, they're probably like, you know, stereotypes or archetypes, whatever. They come fully like packaged. You go, this is this person in this group, like Michelle Rodriguez. It's like, she's the tough girl in an all-boy fighting team. Like, and that's fine because she nails it. And I feel like everyone kind of has that thing of, I don't know, it's specific enough that they're like, you go, I know who that is. I get it. And they don't really waver from it.
I guess what I understand what function they need to serve within this film. And tell me about your thoughts on it, especially since you watched your brother play the video games. Usually, and up until quite recently, I would argue, video game adaptations have never really been considered very good. Like I have fond memories of watching them on tape, like the Super Mario Bros. Movie from the 90s.
I love that film, but yeah.
Like, so wild. So wild. And just as a small digression, the tape that I watched it on was taped over. So I think I watched like the ending about 700 times and only watched the full movie like years later, where it was like, wait, so this dinosaur Dennis Hopper situation, like what happened before? Like, what is...
How did we get here? What's going on? I love that film. It was so weird.
Yeah. Or the Mortal Kombat movie, which I did watch a lot of times, and that was one of the few video games I played, so I'm like, I knew the characters. And that's another Paul W.S. Anderson film.
Is it? Yeah, right.
That's how he got this job. He was like, well, that guy adapted a video game movie, and that was a moderate success. Let's give him this one.
I hated the Mortal Kombat film, but like but I think it's like I think before people were just trying to make almost a true. So I think the Super Mario Bros. Film, I wonder how, if it came out now, right, I don't know it would be received as badly as it was, because I was like, it just does something different with an idea, right? It does something a bit darker and weirder with an idea. And I think that's what the newer films have kind of done. They've taken the idea, and rather than trying to make it like gameplay, like Doom is like amazing for like a horror idea for a film. It's like, yeah, you can't try and make it like the actual game though, because that's boring. People forget the enjoyment of the game comes from you playing. Like, it's not really from watching it. I mean, I'm sure lots of teenagers disagree because they all watch people play them all the time. But like, it's part of it is you playing and not knowing and feeling stuff is coming at you. It's like, to make it into a film, you kind of have to, which is what they did with this, right? Alice is not a character from the game. So it's like you kind of have to make something else out with the world of the game, but you have to write an actual story. Because the story of a video game is simplified, especially those older video games, for a reason. You're just going level to level. They can't be that complicated. Less so now, but like back then, Doom didn't really have... I couldn't tell you what was happening in Doom.
Again, and I hesitate to call anything about this series of films genius, but what I think is actually a good way of adapting something like a video game, with especially one that became as huge and as complex as Resident Evil. Because I think by the time they actually got to making this film, there was like seven editions of the game out. So like 7 series of the game. So it got increasingly more complicated. But I think this is something that we've now seen be done with other, let's say, like IP movies. Like even Barbie, you know. Barbie is not an origin story of the doll. It is set in a world that is very recognizable because the IP, the product, is universally recognizable. And I think I've never played the game. I've never watched anyone play the game. But I can absolutely follow Resident Evil, no problem. Because not only the Alice character, which is kind of a great audience surrogate, because she wakes up confused and she's like, I don't know who anyone is or what is going on, so let's follow me and let's find out together. But also, it's sort of loosely inspired by the world of Resident Evil. And what it adapts is it takes the world, and then the characters and the stories within it are just new, original to the film. And because the film knows what it is, the characters are just stock characters that you immediately recognize from sci-fi and action and horror films. You're like, oh, the world is the thing that's complicated and weird, and there's Umbrella Corporation, and there's the Red Queen, and then also there's zombies, and there's this virus, and this thing, and this double crossing. And that is production design and world building and can just be there and be iterated on and evolved. But then the characters are kind of just like really pawns for you to discover the world through.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the resurgence of it now is because computer games are getting more detailed. So there's actually way more story to actually pull from. That's already in the game. I mean, it also has its cons in the sense of like fans of the games are never really going to be happy because they're going to have to change stuff always to make it like a narrative TV show or film. But and fans will be like, this doesn't happen in the game. And you're just like, yeah, because it's not the game. But what
happens in the game, Isaura? I don't know what happens in the game. Are you just meant to kill zombies?
I actually can't remember. I remember, lots of shooting.
Okay.
But like it gets really convoluted like at certain points because and the films do too. There didn't need to be. After having watched all 7 of them, there doesn't need to be that many films. Like it gets to a point in the middle where you're just like, what is going on? Like it is just noise, like loud rock music and like shooting, and they give you these massive bits of information through like terrible exposition, and you're just like, I don't know what that means. I cannot keep track of who's who, of what's going on, or who switched sides, or like whatever. And it's just like it actually didn't need. It's like too much to try, and because most of the films are just shooting and fighting, it's like you haven't even put enough narrative in there for me to care enough to keep track of the story. You're assuming I'm here for the shooting and fighting, but at a certain point it gets very boring, and it starts to look like other films. Like they start looking like budget Matrixes, essentially. Like there's 2 in the middle that look like Matrix films. And but badly done Matrix films. It's like Bullet Time. The bad guy is essentially Agent Smith. And it gets a bit like, ooh, this is a tough. The second one is there's one that's like set in the Wild West kind of feeling for some reason. Like it gets a bit odd, and you lose kind of the thread of the point. Of what it kind of brings it back. Afterlife, it kind of brings it back to the point, because it kind of goes back over, like it goes more back to the first one. It references the first one quite a lot.
To your point about kind of action, rewatching the first film, I think the priorities are always action first, horror second, and then story last. And then the priorities change to Milla Jovovich first, action second, and then everything else comes last.
Everything else,
Do you think of them as action, as sci-fi, as horror? And do you think that, especially since you watched all of them, do you think that they kind of forgot about the horror part and felt just completely zeroed in on the action element?
Oh, for sure. The first one is the only true, like, tech horror, I would say. The rest of them very much become action films. You barely even see, you see the zombies, but they're not as much of a threat. In the way that, like, they become less and less of a thing that to actually deal with. It's more other people. The newest one, Welcome to Raccoon City, goes right back to horror. It's very much a haunted house type feeling.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, so, now I'm more curious.
I liked it a lot. Like, it really brings it back to, this is a horror film. Here's a small cast of characters trying to escape this situation, which is all we really want. And yes, obviously Umbrella Corp is still there and they're still behind everything, but it's much less overt and overarching. In this film, I think it's represented by one person, the whole Umbrella Corporation. It's kind of the feeling, it's like this one guy in this town is kind of working for them.
So let's talk about the Umbrella Corporation, because I have a soft spot, and maybe this is because, you know, I've been 2 years late to the Severance train, and I just watched it a few months ago, and it is incredible.
Amazing,
but there is definitely kind of work-based series and stories and films are in the ether, and they're all very negative or satirical, like Succession. What do you think about Umbrella Corporation as the big bad of the entire Resident Evil series?
I think it's a really good, I mean, it's accurate. Like, we're looking at a time when we have, like, all these massive companies who own, like, pretty much everything. And you're just like, we actually have no idea what they're doing. Most of us don't even know what they own. We don't know what products we're buying that are actually owned by, like, Coca-Cola. And it might be not even a food or drink stuff. It's just, like, a random thing. And with old what's his face, Elon Musk and Tesla, like there's people you're actively seeing it at this moment in time, like people trying to be Umbrella Corp, essentially, be everything to everyone. So I think it was really astute in that fact, because like it's not even about this company's inherent, like they're trying to be evil. It's like they are a company that slowly bought up everything, have their fingers in all the little pies, and behind the scenes they're doing really evil shit to try and make themselves even more like money and whatever. And it's like, that's not a foreign thought when you think about corporations now. That's like, yeah, that they probably are doing, probably not as bad as that. They're probably not creating like weird lizard monsters. But who truly knows?
Literally, who knows? If you told me tomorrow that a huge corporation had accidentally created COVID, I'd be like, yeah, that tracks.
And they also want to put like chips in our brains. It's like there's like all kinds of things that they're trying to like start and do. They're like this idea of like biotech is like becoming more and more of a thing of like, let's implant something in your body so you can like pay for your coffee. It's like, I don't think I need that. I think it's fine. And it doesn't even Google glasses, stuff like that is like terrifying to me. But so I think the idea is solid because it's not really about our corporations going to do this thing. It's like, corporations are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to use more and more tech that becomes available. They're going to be the first to use it. The question is always, when are they going to fuck up? When are they going to go wrong?
Yeah.
And this is that play. This is how this particular corporation went wrong. And the whole thing of like, the film starts like we were just seeing a normal office day, right? Someone gets coffee spilt on their shirt. They're all like, oh God. Look.
I want to talk about this scene because I thought it was probably the best one.
It's great because it's such a weird start to a film. You're just like, what is this? And then even the things spilling and the slow realization of like the place shutting down. I was like, this feels like in real time how terrifying this would be. Just being at your job, that it shuts down. Everyone goes, it's a fire drill. They all dismiss it because, again, that's what most people would do. And not realizing until like it's too late. Like, oh no, something terrible's happening. And we're underground. Because, you know, for like how many days have these people been coming to work and everything's been fine and it all runs so smoothly? And because of this tech, because of how futuristic this place is, you kind of assume most things can't go wrong or be resolved.
Yeah, it's too big. It's too big to fail. Exactly. Yeah. They didn't know they're on the Titanic. It's like, no, everyone's going to sink. It's like... And the fact that failsafe, that no one thought that failsafe would be there when they're dealing with bioweapons. And it's like, of course that failsafe's there. Like, that everyone just gets terminated. There's probably in your contract somewhere that you didn't read buried in the 80-page contract.
Yeah. It's like clause 88, section B. When I watched it when I was younger, it obviously felt like, that's crazy. Like, and now it doesn't feel crazy at all.
Well, this is what's different as well about watching this film. Like, that came out when we were both sort of in our teenage years.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting when you're watching office-based or work-based anything when you're a teenager and you, for the most part, have no concept of working. Like, my idea of working when I was a teenager was basically like a bar. Like you worked in a bar.
Yeah.
And the height of like the dream was to work in a bookshop, you know?
Yeah.
There's this element where it's so impersonal. And so, again, I keep coming back to the chrome and the slickness of it all. Like, it's so clean, neutral, sanitized. And all these people come in and and what's really interesting is that everything is fake because it's underground. It's like they literally buried underground. Like, but then in order to make people not lose their minds, they have these fake views of skyscrapers, which again, why would you pick those views? But again, they're sort of like cosplaying corporate offices inside of an underground corporate office.
I feel like today, if they did it, they'd have like green, like trees and stuff outside.
Yes.
To kind of be like, oh, for their mental health, we're like showing them nature and whatever while they work in this literal like bunker.
And this is the 2000s thing that you cannot fake and you cannot replicate. Nobody in 2002 gave a shit about anybody else's mental health.
Nope.
At all.
Nope.
Those words don't exist.
Nope. They're literally like, and even stuff like the bit in the lift. So there's people who get trapped in the lift, right? If you haven't seen the film, the bio had a vial of like this bio weapon breaks, whole place shuts down. It's called the Hive, shuts down. So everything, like all doors lock, everything, and the lift stops. And then they hear the other lift drop, right? Which would be horrifying. Which, again, I don't really understand why that's the failsafe. They're like, I just dropped this lift, I guess. But fine. And then the second lift, I don't know why, but like the system kind of edges them. It's like, gonna drop you. Not fully.
Maybe
and
not.
Then
not
they
yet.
get the doors open, leave a little gap, and you can see that the camera, like it shows you the point of view of like you can see the system watching them, the camera's watching what's happening. A woman tries to get out, and then rather than be like, well, I'm just gonna like drop that, it's like drops it a bit, and then it's like, no, and then like goes back up and like cuts her head off, and I'm like, why would you do that?
You know what? You know why? Because it's that evil AI fucking with her.
Because I was like,
that's how you know that AI is sentient. It's like, Am I gonna kill you?
This
Am I gonna
cannot
kill you
be
a little bit?
protocol. Why did you wait for her to get halfway out? If you're going to kill her anyway, let her get back in the lift. Like, what? Why did you do that? Or if you're going to, they can't get out, you can let them out the lift. Like, you've sent poison gas and you've, like, locked the doors. They're not going anywhere. Like, there is no reason for that. And I'm just like, yeah, the AI's a bitch. Like, it's like,
Can I offer a possibly controversial take?
Oh, what is it?
Probably not a hot take, but maybe like a heated up take.
Reheat nachos, go.
I think the AI was right.
To kill them all?
Yeah.
Well, I don't see what else they could have done, to be honest.
Okay, so there is, let's just backtrack to the facts, right? So there is an outbreak of the T virus that turns people into zombies.
Yeah.
Universally a bad thing to happen.
Yeah.
They're in an underground facility completely controlled by the corporation, right? Owned by the corporation. The corporation has like this, essentially a souped up Siri that can control everything about that building. Her protocol, we can imagine, is to like, don't let, first of all, company property, but second of all, this zombie virus escape this safe location. Mm-hmm. Fine. It is compromised. She needs to shut everything down and kill anyone who is in any possible risk exposed to the virus. And then these like mercenaries and this random Alice come in and was like, oh, we want to break out. We want to break everyone free. We need to save people. And she's like, if we let everyone here go, this was in a contract. This might happen. If we let everyone go, suddenly maybe it's a zombie apocalypse, which is what happens in future films, isn't it?
Yes. So I will say...
So is the Red Queen wrong?
Okay, if you watch just the first film, you're like, okay, no, she didn't really have any choice. But then you think about it, right? She's so advanced. She's literally like, I'm going to torment this woman in the lift, for example. She's watching everything. She didn't...
That was mean.
That was mean. But she also didn't... The guy... What we find out at the end of the film is that the guy they have with them, whose memory's also gone, who works for like the umbrella company...
James Purefoy.
Yeah.
My favorite, supporting actor from the early 2000s.
Just everywhere. Like, there are so many actors in that I'm just like, you're in everything.
The Prince of Wales from A Knight's Tale. That's how I'll always remember him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. But, like, she watches him steal.
Yeah.
The virus and the antivirus and then throw the vials. Like, and you couldn't, no fail-safe for that. You're watching this man go into the lab and you're like, oh, no, I guess I'll shut down now. You let him leave. Like, you let him leave with the virus and then you're like, oh no. What was she doing? It takes us so long to...
Let me posit a theory. I feel like 2002 James Purefoy, which by the way, he has such a smirk on his face the entire film. It is delightful. He's like, I am a Shakespearean actor. What is this shit?
Yeah.
What am I doing here? Oh, right. I've got a mortgage. I greatly enjoy it because it's never camp. It's just smug. And I feel like there's very few actors, and they're all classically trained, who can get away with being smug but not scenery chewing. But my theory is, what if the Red Queen, who, at least in the first film, is presented as a little girl, which we then later learn is based on the daughter of the creator of the virus, what if she has a little crush on him? And that's why she's like, okay, I'm going to let you go, but just you.
But then that is her fault. Then she's not right. Because I'm just like, what were you busy? You have one job. You have like a million eyes. Like, how did you miss this?
She made one mistake because her crush was involved.
And she was like, oh no, I was distracted. And then
she overcorrected.
She was like, oh shit, fail safe. She pressed the button like, oh no. Because it even takes her a little minute to realize the vial's broken. She's like, oh shit, he dropped one. And it's like, what were you doing? What were you up to in that moment? What were you doing in that time? You've taking it in breath. Why did you miss that? And then also, by Afterlife, by the 6th film of the original franchise, then she's back. She's talking to Milla and she's like, oh, by the way, we can just disperse the antivirus everywhere and end all of this, worldwide. So I do feel like there was an option to just save everyone, immediately. That, it feels like that should be the failsafe. Like, oh, we can just dispense there's an antivirus. We can just do that. But she was like, no. Also, if you're going to kill everyone and you know the T-virus is going to bring them back, it's like, maybe a more effective killing of everyone. Maybe don't bring them back so bitey. Maybe you take care of like the headshots also immediately. Again, I know you have the technology, you have lasers and shit. Like, why didn't you do that? Why didn't you like, okay, yes, gas to make a humane death, but then also a laser to the head, just double safe.
Listen, the laser scenes. Chef's kiss.
Why didn't the big monsters in the tanks? It's like no fail safe for them. We didn't shut that down when the whole place shut down. No fail safe
for the zombie dogs either.
They didn't turn into big like incinerators when that happens. They're like, no, they're alive. And very strong. But if the power goes down, they can get out. I don't understand what the system is. So yes, I understand in theory.
Listen, a crush will do terrible things to your brain.
Yes, like stopping the virus getting out, totally important. But she didn't do that.
Yes, but that's because James Purifier was on camera.
Okay.
Let a girl live.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that. She also didn't tell them. The whole time didn't tell them it was him. She knew the whole time. And she was just like, I don't know what happened. And then she's like, it's like, oh.
She didn't want him to get killed so quick. She was
then
like,
they all realized. I'm like, again, she knew this the whole time. Why didn't say anything? Like, just nuts
we
to
don't
me.
come to Resident Evil for the plot.
She's like, that's a secret. That's my secret. I'm not going to tell anybody.
That's between him and her. And
she didn't know why she didn't tell anyone, because she fucked up. And she was like, I can't tell them that because then they'll know that it was my fault, really. So no one needs to know that. No one needs to know that I saw him come in here and do this whole thing. That didn't happen. It's like...
You know who the Red Queen reminded me of in the first film?
Who?
Do you watch Severance?
Yeah. The little girl.
Miss Huang. Yeah. Miss Huang. She has that same energy where like she will fuck up because she got distracted by her adult crush, which is perfectly fine when you're a kid and you have a crush on like an adult person. Never okay if it's reciprocated. But then she also has this like very fastidious, overcorrecting approach to her where she's like, oh, well, no, I couldn't possibly make a mistake, so I'm just going to have to kill anyone who might have been witness to my mistake.
Everything's going to be fine. No one's going to know. And I even like her dramatic hours when she's like, they're doing the thing, they're shutting her down, and then she's like, guys, and she's like, all computer red, and then she's just like, you're all going to die down here. And it's like, they're so mean. Such a little bitch. She's just like, well, fuck you guys, you're all going to die. Yes. And it's just like, this is hilarious that she goes immediately to like, well. And she pops up later on and she's always bargaining. I'm like, why are you bargaining? She's always like, well, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you. Like, even the later ones, even the last ones, there's one hilarious bit in Afterlife, which is the last of the franchise, of the original franchise. She's telling Milla Jovovich how to like basically how to send the antivirus into the world, which again could have told everyone a lot earlier, could have saved everyone a lot of time and issues, but fine. 6 films later, she's like, oh, actually, there is a way to end this. And she's telling her, and then she's like, Alice, as Alice is walking off, and Milla Jovovich is like, yeah. And she's like, good luck. And Milla Jovovich is like rolls her eyes so hard, because it's like, yeah, she's been through hell. She's not even sure she's the real one at this point. There's like clones of her. Oh, and you're like, anyway, good luck with that. Anyway, yeah, have fun.
I'll see you back here for the next one.
Yeah, oh, bye, sorry.
We've spoken about her a little bit, but I want to dig into a little bit more into Milla Jovovich as the heart and the star of the entire franchise. Like, what do you make of her as an action star? And how does her character evolve or devolve throughout the franchise?
So I think... So Fifth Element is just a 10 out of 10 film. I just cannot false it. I love it to this day.
I will watch that film to bits. It is so fun, so perfect.
There's not a time someone will put that on. I'd be like, no, I don't feel like watching it. It's like, it's great. And a lot of that is to do with her, right? Like, she is so convincing as this kind of like innocent but badass, but cool, but smarter than everybody, but vulnerable, like, character. She's so good at it, and it's one of the most successful turns from model to actor I've ever seen. So in the first Resident Evil, she kind of has that same vibe. There's something very endearing And while she's like strong and there's something quite vulnerable about her.
She's like a Rottweiler puppy.
Yeah.
So you know how Rottweilers are like really, like considered really aggressive dogs, but when you see a Rottweiler, you're just like, oh, you're so cute, and your ears are so soft. But then she always plays the same as in Fifth Element, right? She wakes up naked and confused, and then she discovers that she is a badass. Yeah. So she doesn't go through a period of learning. It's just innate in her.
Yeah.
And it's the same, like, she's a Rottweiler puppy that suddenly discovers it has teeth.
And then the 5 seconds after she's beat everybody up, she's like, oh no, that was a lot. Like, she's back to being like, oh boy. Like, she kicks that dog clean in the head, and then she's like, whoa.
Yeah, like she murders a zombie with her thighs.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh man.
No, that was me?
That was... Ooh, is everyone okay? Like, she's like, goes right back to like... And she's quite like, she grows quite attached to this team quite quickly. She's quite supportive. So after when the laser hallway, which is still one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Just everyone gets chopped to bits. And she's watching it through this little window, and she's quite emotional about it. She's quite like upset by it. And then when the guy who's left behind, who didn't know that was going to happen, then has to go through that hallway to like shut down the Red Queen, he's super nervous, and she's really supportive. She's like, right there. And she's like asking, she's being like, and she does this, she doesn't want to leave anyone behind. She won't leave Michelle Rodriguez behind, even though she's been bitten 150 times. And she's clearly dying. She's like, no, even when she gives her the anti-vax, which is clearly, again, not going to work because she's been bitten so much. She's like riddled with T-virus at this point. But like, she's so hopeful and so reluctant to kill her. And so there's still that thing that's there, like this, she's a person, right? Yes, she's a badass. Yes, she'll do what she needs to do. But she finds it hard, and she's a person, and she cares about what's happening. Even with Matt, who gets taken away at the end because he's infected, again, which they forgot somehow. I'm like, she told you that any scratch or anything will get you, and he got scratched by that big mega thing. Like, of course he's infected. Why are you surprised? And then when he comes back in a later film as this monster they've created, like the Nemesis monster, whatever he's called, she's really, again, emotional about the fact that it's him, this person she used to know, and she's sorry, and he recognizes her. It's a whole beautiful, like, as it goes on, she loses that. She just becomes this kind of emotionless, like, one-lining giving, shoot everything, I can do gravity-defying flips, faceless action star, even though it's Milla Jovovich's like gorgeous face. It's just nothing. There's nothing special about it anymore. They've taken what she brought to the role kind of away. It kind of just becomes noise. And then every episode, I've been watching like a TV show. Every episode, every series. See, oh my God. What's happening to me? Every film, they bring in a new hot girl. It becomes like Hot Girl Olympics. And like in the second one, I think it is, they have like a fake Lara Croft in it.
Oh, they've got Jill Valentine. She's actually a character in the series.
But she looks like Lara Croft. She's like dressed like Lara. She's wearing a miniskirt the whole time. Yeah. And I'm like, hun, first of all, you went to work today in that outfit, in a boob tube and a miniskirt. What's happening in your life that's what you put on to go to work today? And then she's just kind of...
I believe the kids call it office siren.
She's the office siren. She's like, got my gun strap on my thigh, got my miniskirt, my boob tube. Don't worry about it. It's very practical. She also has a black sensible boot though. She's got that memo. But like, she's like pissed that there's another hot girl in the apocalypse. That's all she's annoyed about. Like, Milla Jovovich turns up, saves everybody, and then she's like, who are you? She's like so mad. And I'm just like, that's kind of fun, but it gets more and more that, where it's every time a new hot woman turns up, they're like, who are you? And it's just like, guys, that's really not the issue at hand right now. The outfits get sexier and less like more thought out, where you then start finding yourself being like, when did they put this on? Right? Like,
how did they get so many perfectly fitted leather waistcoats?
And like these belted things and whatever, like when did this happen? When have they been reapplying lipstick? Like, it's just gets a bit, there's one where she's doing like a captain's vlog because she's trying to find like survivors. And all she's doing is like serving face directly to camera. It doesn't even feel, they haven't even tried to make it feel like she's tired and dirty and like whatever. It's like model Milla Jovovich being like, yeah, so it's like she's got eyeliner on, like visible eyeliner.
This is what I found so funny as well about I watched the second one in quick succession after the first one. The first one, she's like, barefaced, like genuinely really confused, and then accidentally goes into badass mode, and then as you said, becomes confused by that. In the second one, there's a point at the end where she kills someone through the CCTV camera. And
with her brain!
Yeah, with her brain. But she's the entire time, after she's woken up in this Umbrella Corporation facility, she just goes from like being, bottom lip trembling Lilu to just serving face for a whole minute, just like staring straight into the camera. And then the film ends. I'm like, oh, okay. So then you've gone from I'm confused and naked to I'm Milla Jovovich, international model in 0.6 seconds. And that's, I think, the setup for the rest of the franchise.
Yeah, because I think in the first one as well, the violence feels realistic to a certain extent, right? Mm-hmm. Even the jump kick to kick the dog, you see it doesn't feel like gravity defying. It feels like you've jumped off two things. Like, you're not like you're not 10 feet in the air. Like, I get what's happened here. Whereas it gets to the point where she's like literally doing Matrix style things where you're like, how are you doing this? Like, what's happening? Does gravity, and not just her, other characters where you're just like, huh? Like, it just, and also it changes how strong everyone gets too strong, which is like an issue for like the thing where like a virus or something makes people strong. It's like, well, I'm just watching two strong people beat the hell out of each other, but there's no point to it. Mm-hmm. Everyone gets like too strong and it gets too much.
And also, and I kind of want to ask you this to understand it myself. Why can't Alice die?
So basically, okay, so Alice, it turns out, the reason she doesn't have any memories is because they made her.
So they created her like in a lab?
Yeah. And there's like a million Alices. They have like clones upon clones upon clones upon clones. And the T-virus, right, she successfully bonded with the T-virus. She's the only person who has successfully bonded with the T-virus. So that's why she's so strong. She's always had the T-virus. And she's the only person who her cells have like accepted it in the way that they were hoping everyone's did. So basically they want to study her. And then as it gets later on, it seems more like they want to use her as a weapon as well. There's a point where they're testing loads of different Alices. They're kind of putting her through the same scenarios that she did in the original film and seeing how long they survive. And most of them get killed at some point, and there's a pit with like loads of her bodies in. And so they're never quite getting the recreation of her quite right. But so by the end of the film, they're not even calling her Alice, they're calling her Project Alice. So the idea by the end is that she's always been a project. Her the way she looks is originally based on the daughter of the originator of the T-virus. So the timeline's even different. So the kid who's the Red Queen, that was like so long ago. And Alice is how she would look if she was a woman. She has an aging virus. So you realize that the reason the guy was creating the T-virus was try and make his daughter, like, she had like a deteriorating disease. Yeah. And he was trying to cure it. And he never really succeeds because she doesn't bond with it properly. So she ages really rapidly. So by the end of the whole thing, you see aged up Milla Jovovich as original Alice. So she's like, looks like she's about 80. And so Milla Jovovich is how she gets to have the life that Alice never got. That was the original reasoning, I think, behind creating her. And then...
Okay.
Yeah, so...
I'm following.
So she has no memory. So at the end, he's like, the reason you have no memory of your life before the mansion is because you don't have one.
She has one memory, though. She was married to James Purefoy.
She remembers sex with him, yeah. Like, that's how... They did nothing. She doesn't remember a meal in the mansion. She doesn't remember going to the bathroom. She's like, I remember having sex with that guy.
One more... some more supporting evidence for my theory that the AI let it all happen because that little girl had a girl crush on James Purefoy. And the one thing that she requested was to have a fake memory implanted of having sex with him. And being married. Not even just having sex with him. Being married and having sex. So
all the memory she has at the beginning. So like the memory of trying to bring out the virus to give to the woman who is a mole in the hive. That's real. Sex with James is real. But nothing before she lived in the mansion.
He had a name that we do
Whatever
not
his
remember.
name was, that man. But like, that's everything in the mansion that she remembers is real.
Mm-hmm.
Just, she doesn't remember growing up. She doesn't remember getting this. She doesn't remember signing up to the Umbrella Corp. So fake married to him, working for Umbrella Corp. She remembers all that real. But then nothing before then.
So I find it quite sweet, to be honest, that Milla is married to the writer-director of most of the films in the franchise, Paul W.S. Anderson. And they've kept working together. And they got married, I think, in like 2009 or something. But they met, I think, on the set of the first Resident Evil. It's very cute. They've got a whole bunch of kids. They seem really happy.
That's
Good for
cute.
them. I love it. And I keep pondering about what it is about beautiful Eastern European women and pasty Englishmen that is just like...
What's going on there?
What is going on? What is this attraction? And as a Eastern European woman who also suffers from the same affliction, I'm like, what's happening there? Like, it's Milla and Paul, it's Dua Lipa and Callum Turner.
Cannot get enough. You're just like,
I'm like, what's going on? What is this like weird reverse fetish? But
I love it. I love that. Like, it looks like sunlight hurts him. Hot.
Yes, sexy. Anyway, my point being, how do you think the films have changed since, like, what is his style, and does it feel like the films are essentially reasons to just platform her and give her bigger and chunkier action scenes and role?
I think for both of them, so basically, I think this is a film definitely for fans of as it progresses, especially, it becomes definitely for the fans of the game. Right? So it kind of almost didn't matter if they were massive commercials, because like the fans of the game are kind of going to like them. I also think it's a guaranteed paycheck for them for 6 films. Like, let's make some action stuff. I can get to work with my wife and we just get to like do cool shit and make her look really cool. I think his style is sick shit. I think he's like... I'm going to do this slow motion thing for this one bit for no reason. And I think that's his style. He's like, this would be cool in slow motion. I'm going to just do this. I'm going to do bullet time as much as possible in all the film. He does it so much. It's so much. And I think he just is like, yeah, this is cool. I think he just wants to fill his films with sick shit. And I think and rock music. And I think he's just like, what's the coolest thing we could do here? And whatever he imagines in his head, he just does it.
I feel like the Resident Evil films are the most wife guy franchise of films ever made. It's like, just look at how hot and beautiful and kick-ass my wife is. Just look at her. Ain't I lucky? Isn't this great?
And I think they progress it. Like the first one, the sick shit bit is like the laser corridor, but also the dog kick.
Also the guy who, this is not Milla, but the guy who gets killed by the laser room, but just before he does get like cut into little bits and pieces with that, he lifts himself up with just pure core strength to avoid the lasers. Yeah,
he's like, everyone's fucking cool is like his whole thing. Like even there's one, I can't remember which one it is, I think it might be Afterlife, where there's a guy who like knows he's gonna die, so he like lights a cigar, then steps out and gets shot to death. But then he throws his gun in the air, and as he's being shot and he's on the floor dying, he grabs the gun and he gets one last shot off. And it's just like, yeah, he's just like, here's an impossible thing, but it's gonna look cool. Don't worry about it. And I think that's what, and as it progresses, there's a lot more like, I'm going to take a moment to say something kind of quirky and whatever. There's a whole bit, like, have you seen Silent Hill? You know the guy with the big axe in the bathroom? Yes. He's in the films. So he's in, but Afterlife, there's the guy with the big axe with like the hood over his nails and chains. Yeah. He turns up, and then he also turns up in Afterlife. There's 2 of them.
Oh my god, that's too many.
And it's a whole sequence, this impossible monster to fight, just swinging his big old axe around. And I'm like, yeah, and that's all in slow motion. Also, when they shoot him, coins come out, and I was like, what's happening? Why is he full of coins? I don't know. I still don't know the answer to that.
Thing.
Yeah, but I don't know why it's in the film. I have no answer. No one else has coins. Like, it was very weird. But he just kind of adds stuff that you're just like, I don't really know why this is happening right now. No one's explained what's happening to me. But fine. I like it.
So this is the thing, right? The franchise, the entire franchise, even the first film, which, you know, I don't know if you would agree, I think kind of can't stand on its own 2 feet, sort of separately from the franchise, as it's, you know, common for it to happen. But it's always been very poorly received. Like, no, the
Right.
critics have never dug a single Resident Evil film. And yet they keep getting made. They keep making money. They're now being rebooted. There was a Netflix series that was cancelled after one season, but there was a Netflix series based on the films as well. Why do you think people have had such a soft spot for it? Why has it connected with audiences so much more than critics to really justify it continuing for so long?
I do think that is because of the people who love the game. I think there's enough like love and respect of the game going into it that the fans of the game actually really like it, like a rare occasion where they're like, I like this. Also, I think a lot of it is down to Milla. Like, I think she's a very endearing leading lady. I think people like watching her. She's convincing enough that you're not like I hate Underworld because I don't think Kate Beckinsale is remotely convincing. But like
Whoa.
I really don't.
Whoa.
But Milla, I
Big
think,
words.
is convincing. I'm like, I believe that she could beat me up. I truly do. And she's enough of a person. Like, I don't know, there's just something very specific about her. I feel the same way like when Charlize Theron does action.
Well,
I'm
yes.
I believe that she could, I believe this person exists. I believe she could do this, even though I know Charlize Theron in real life is this beautiful actress. If she trained, I think she could do this.
I think she could do it any day of the week. She's like 6'2".
She could throw me across the room. And I think with Milla Jovovich is the same thing. And I think that's what was so good about The Fifth Element. Again, I'm not sure how perfect that film would be if it wasn't her. And I think it's that she's so convincing as a person. She's grounded, even as it gets more ridiculous. And I was watching them, and I was watching them all in the last 2 days. I was watching the next one because I was like, let me see if I don't know if I like the next one. And most of the time I didn't. I still put the next one on. Like, I still watched it the whole way through.
What would be what's your, having watched them all so closely, what is your ranking of them? Like, which one is your favorite, and which one would you just bin because they just don't work as films or they overcomplicate the story of the franchise?
Number 1, original.
Yes.
Number 2, final chapter is what I meant.
Okay.
Number 3, Apocalypse. Number 4, Extinction. Afterlife and Reputation.
Retribution.
Which it might as well be called that. Who cares what it's called?
What about
It's going in the bin.
Apocalypse?
Apocalypse is number 3.
Oh,
So
right.
it's-
Yes, you're right. You're right. What about the Welcome to Raccoon City? The
Welcome
reboot?
to... that's hard to put in the actual list of them. That will go number 2 if I was including that one.
Okay.
It's really good, and it's like a horror, and I like that about it. And it's a good cast. They got really good actors in it. And I just love the haunted houseness of it. Ooh.
Do you think that the whole series, or probably maybe just specifically the 2002 original film, do you feel like it's had more of an influence on action and action horror and zombie films than we give it credit for?
No.
Case closed. No further comment needed.
No, because like you said, that in the first film, I think the first one's the most impactful cultural. I think most people who have seen any Resident Evil films have seen the first one and probably only that one. I would say that you don't really remember the zombies. You remember the Red Queen, you remember you do remember them, but they're not as much of a threat as us trying to get out of the hive, really. And
we haven't even spoken about the zombies.
No, because they're not really a prominent...
No, I would even say that, like, I honestly, I had in my memory, it's like, oh yeah, Resident Evil, that's a zombie film, isn't it? And then they only turn up, like, really late in the game. I was like, oh, I don't really care about... I mean, I never care about zombies. There's a reason I haven't done a zombie series. It's because, like, I feel those films are all the same film. It's
They're
always
not,
the same
though.
issues.
Okay, I have a different opinion on this.
Okay, hit me.
So I think... So the zombies in this, right, they're just really... The only thing they're really there for, I feel like, is a signifier that something else is happening. So the zombie turns up and they're like, oh, wait, something is off here, because they're down there to see what happened. And they're like, something's weird. And then that's the first time they're like, oh, something's even weirder than we thought it was, in fact. And we're in more danger than we are. And yes, they're in danger from being bitten by the zombies. And yes, several people do get eaten. But that's more out of like them not being really ready to deal with that. They're not really equipped. They take a long time to figure out to shoot them in the head. It's they're more of like a tool. Again, I think they're mostly in these films they're used as a tool in this franchise. They don't really utilize the big monsters as much, so the big licky things, because like those are much scarier, but I feel like if those were running around then everyone would be screwed.
I will say those are very random, because both in Apocalypse and in the first one, all of a sudden, like the zombies, you get it, it's like reanimated corpses. But then the big creatures, you're just like, oh, who's this big motherfucker? Like, what is this happening? Is this like a new thing? Is this like someone who's mutated? Did this used to be a person? Like Nemesis in the second one in Apocalypse is Matt from the first film. Yeah. And you're just like, oh, okay, so I guess we can do that now? But
no, the big ones are ones they inject the T-virus into just like tissue. So they weren't people, and they were the mistakes. But then they evolve. The more they eat, the more they evolve.
What about the dogs then?
The dogs are just the same as people, the workers. They're dogs that were there for some reason and ate zombie flesh or died or whatever. They also got infected. And
I do find that the zombie dogs are very effective, but also just throw up so many questions.
Yeah. They're basically the same as the people where they died and then came back as like...
Is that a thing from the games? Or is that a director special?
I think that's from the games.
Okay.
I remember dogs. And also the thing where they open up is just... So as we get further in the films, the things evolve, right? So the T-virus evolves and whatever. So some things, the whole body opens up. There's a bit where the dog's like split in half and that's the whole mouth. Like... It's very weird, yeah. So then as things get more and more, they progress and evolve and people's whole faces start opening up. So the more evolved ones are like that. Whereas in the first one, they're just like more straight to the point zombies. And the big monster, they only let one out. But it's just the T-virus. So rather than destroy the mistakes, they just kept them in vaults for some reason. And that's what that is. But zombie film. So I have because... I don't really believe... So as the films progress, they get faster, which I don't believe in. I don't believe in that. That's ridiculous. I'm a big proponent for the whole thing about zombies being that it's not about... Yes, they're easy to evade when they're slow and whatever, but it's the sheer amount of them, right? It's the sheer relentlessness and the amount of them. That's the threat. It's like the scarcity that creates in the world, the feeling of never really being safe because one is always slowly shuffling towards you, and the sheer amount of people that will get bit in that initial situation. So fast zombies, I'm like, the spread of fast zombies and the speed at which they go with one goal, everyone will be dead, like immediately. Everyone will be dead immediately. No one has whose cardio... No, it will just be over so fast. So like, and I'm also like, I don't believe in 28 days later that they're zombies because technically they don't die first. You can save them.
That's true. I mean, I think this is what's actually interesting as well about the early 2000s. And I think like between the year 2000 and 2005 and maybe even 2007, really, there's like a specific reinvention of a lot of tropes. And I think the zombie, which was very, very overdone in the 80s, in the early 2000s was reinvented in different ways. Like we've got Shaun of the Dead, iconic. Yeah. We've got 28 Days Later, not even zombies, but really, really scary. And just... all of and The Walking Dead, I think, kind of the TV series, the first episode, which is the only thing of The Walking Dead I've seen, was genuinely really freaky. And that was very old school Romero-style zombies. And then the Dawn of the Dead remake by Zack Snyder, which was really good, actually. Like, very, very surprisingly good for a remake. And all of them had a completely different style to them. And Resident Evil is this, like, slick, Y2K action horror film that completely, again, does something different. And, as I was arguing before, it doesn't really care about zombies. It doesn't care about, like, the zombies being reanimated as much. No. They're, like you say, a tool.
They're inconvenient. So basically, it's like they have to get out of the hive, and the thing that's stopping them, they don't know when they're going to pop up. They don't know how many there are. And I think that's a genuine... Shaun of the Dead, I think, is one of the most realistic depictions of what would actually happen if there was a zombie apocalypse. I'm like, this is what it would be like. I think some people take a long time to notice. It'll be like the odd one, and then you realize like how fucked you were slowly. But I think it's that thing of like, in Resident Evil, it's just... oh, we're trapped in this space and there are also these things to contend with. Yes, they're slow, but they have one goal. And if we're surrounded by them, it's just hard to get out. Mm-hmm. Rather than it being like, oh no, we have to kill all the zombies. That really isn't the goal. So I quite like them as a tool. Mm. Also, the whole thing, it's like one of the few zombie films where no one's hiding a bite, which I quite like. Like, that's everyone knows if someone gets bitten. I'm just like, yeah, we're all aware of it. We're all trying to manage it as best we can. And also, everyone knows what's needed. Like, there's no, like, no, please don't. Like, oh my God, I'm begging for my life. It's like, no. At some point, you're going to have to shoot me. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to happen.
Well, I think that's because they're mercenaries. Like, they're really ruthless, efficient people.
So I quite like that. I like that. I think that's a different thing, because in other genre, like zombie films, often the threat is other people. Yes, the zombies, mm-hmm. but as time progresses, it's like, actually, like in The Walking Dead, it's other people. Mm-hmm. The zombies are neither here nor there at a certain point. Like, they've been alive forever at this point. It's just, there are now other people who are trying to like claim things and take things from you and whatever, and the other people are dangerous. And also they look like people. They were people. They were, in the first one, there's obviously the one where it says his sister. And that moment of him being like, oh, hey, he takes them a moment to calibrate. But then I also love that when she kills him, he doesn't have an emotional reaction to it. He's not like, oh no, my sister. It's like, no, he understands. He gets it. Like, she wasn't there anymore. And I like that about that film. They don't live in a world where they don't seem to use the word zombie. They don't know what that is. They learn very quickly. This is how we deal with them. This is not a person anymore. But what's jarring is that it is people. The zombie dogs, I feel like the only like real actual like predatory thing, because they're an animal who could actually like kill you anyway before they were a zombie. So those feel scarier than the people, because they're like sniffing you out and like running at you and doing dog things, which is much scarier. Like I feel like I could run away from a human zombie. Dog zombie, not so sure. Oh. Right? Like, don't know if I make it in that situation. So I quite like that. I like they don't waste a lot of time just trying to fight zombies. They don't waste a huge amount of time doing that. Zombies are a thing that happens to them on their way out, rather than like they're spending too much time dealing with that.
Before we wrap up, is there anything about the original film or the franchise that you feverishly watched that you wanted to mention that we haven't gotten to cover?
I don't think so. I just hope, I've definitely woken up like naked and disoriented before.
And found zombie dogs.
But never with superpowers. I never look as good as Milla Jovovich. And it made me, I don't know, it just made me, the music is like a thing. I know we've mentioned it, we've touched on it, but the music is so specific. At some points it's so loud. And I'm like, this is insane. But I think I love about an action film, just unabashedly, like not even a song just random kind of guitars and like drums and like just noise. And I'm just like, I kind of love that it doesn't even really match what's happening. They've just kind of been like, and then the music gets really loud here. I think that's part of the coolness of it. But yeah, I just think it's if you haven't watched it in a long time, I think it's worth a rewatch.
Absolutely.
I think it holds up.
Above everything else, it is such a time capsule of what was considered the coolest shit ever in 2002. Like, you just know that music that you just mentioned, the outfits, the chunky boots, Milla, like Michelle Rodriguez. Michelle Rodriguez has always been cool, but do you know what I mean? Like, everything there, from the outfits to the design to the character choices to the music, everything is like, oh, this is what we thought was the coolest, most cutting edge shit ever. And there's precious few films that actually hold a time so compactly in their running time. And Resident Evil is one of those. And I know it's not the one that's going to come to mind, but I think it's probably the most 2002 film that I've ever seen.
Probably. Quite possibly, yes. Everything. Set design, costume, everything. Music. But I also think because of that beginning bit, they really did themselves a favor there by having that beginning office part, because that part makes it feel so relevant to today because of like shows like you said, like Severance and whatever. The way they portray what an evil corporation is doing and how they explain how we've got to this point feels very like now. And I'm like, it doesn't feel like, as much as the aesthetic feels very 2002, the idea doesn't feel so foreign. which is why I think it still like holds up. Less so that the other ones. Maybe you don't have to watch the other ones. That's fine. I did that for you. You don't have to watch all 6 of them. Watch a new one. That's fine. But like, I think the first one definitely, like I was watching it and still getting like, I still had the same feeling I had watching the first one. I was like, oh my God, this is cool. And like, I think that's never going to go. And that might be like due to nostalgia, but for me, it's never going to go away fully.
Sarah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't know whether to thank you for watching all 7 films, but I'm glad you had a nice time.
I had a wonderful time. I had a wonderful couple of days.
Where can people find more of your work online?
You can find me on Twitter at Isaura_BB and on Instagram. I always forget.
so much tension there. I was like, what is it going to be?
What's it going to be? And on Instagram at Isaurasaurus, and that is always where I post anything I'm doing. You can also find a lot of my writing on Den of Geek. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Maybe I should change the music to be that like random new metal noise that they have in the movie.
It's like so intense. There's a bit that sounds like Terminator. It's like knockoff Terminator music as well. I was like, this is the Terminator. It's just a different key.